Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Wellness by Design today. I'm Jane Hogan, the Wellness Engineer, and I'm really excited today to talk to a beautiful lady who is clairvoyant. She helps people, animals, babies heal. I love this whole topic because I believe that the spirituality side and science are merging together. Quantum physics tells us that everything is energy, and a beautiful guest like Terri Jay, Cowgirl Shaman, I've got today, is utilizing that energy. And so I'm really excited to share her with you. Welcome, Terri Jay.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here.
Well, honor for me to have you as a guest too. So I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about you by reading your bio. Terri Jay enjoys a solid reputation as an intuitive medium and animal communicator. She is also renowned as a medical and veterinary intuitive. She regularly talks to people and pets who have passed in the course of her work, particularly when helping people deal with the loss of a loved one. Along with her work on the other side, Terri also works with people who have communication disorders, such as autism, Alzheimer's, traumatic brain injuries, people who are comatose, and babies who have not yet learned to talk. She is adept at remote viewing and sensing, and her readings produce amazing results and incredible details. Terri has always been in front of the media spotlight for her therapeutic riding program, which received local and national coverage. During her stint with the Wild Horse Commission, she was featured in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about the killing of hundreds of wild horses in Nevada. She went on to appear on countless television news shows for her intuitive work in national and international magazines and newspapers, and on the TV series Texas Justice as an expert witness. And she's an author. And now she's on Wellness by Design. Aren't we blessed? So I know some people are watching live. So if you're watching live and you have any questions for Terri, we'll try to answer them. And if you're watching a replay, put it in the comments. And again, we'll try to get to them. So Terri, I'm so honored to have you here. And I always start off by asking my guests, what brought you into this work? Like, were you, as a small child, were you intuitive, or did it come to you later in life? How did it happen for you?
I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's really what happened with me. I was doing my horseback therapy program with disabled kids, and I heard a nonverbal child speak. So once I had it confirmed, the suggestion was made to learn to communicate with the horses because all animals are telepathic. And I was just so naive. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And one thing led to another. And once I realized that, I could hear and communicate with animals, it just opened that door to what else can I do with this? And I was very blessed to have two mentors that were both energy healers. And so they really helped me take the woo-woo out of this and make it really grounded in physics, quantum physics. It really just, I feel almost weird saying it, going, yeah, I'm going to go out and rope some steers and then I'm going to come in and study quantum physics. It just seems sort of opposite. You know what I mean? So, but it works. It works. I consider myself really down to earth. And I mean, if this was too woo-woo, there's no way I could do it. Mm-hmm. So really the physics and quantum physics really gave me that feeling of what I was doing was grounded in science. And all you have to realize is everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And there's the explanation for how you do all of it. And that's why I believe anybody can do it. I don't think these as gifts at all. Mm-hmm. So I think everybody has the abilities, and I love teaching people how to do this stuff.
Oh, so good. You know what? You said all animals are telepathic, and does that include humans as well?
Oh, goodness, yes. Yeah. So I think we all turn it off in childhood, and then so it isn't like we have to learn something new. We just really have to turn it back on.
Yeah. We really haven't been taught to use this this energy that we are, that everything is. But as you said, it's so simple. And you know what? It's not, people think of it as woo. It's not even that woo. If you ask a room full of people who's ever had an experience where they knew something was going to happen, or that they knew who was going to call when the phone rang,
sure,
everybody puts up their hands. So these are not paranormal experiences. They are normal experiences, right?
They really are. There isn't anybody who hasn't thought of somebody that they haven't heard from in a long time, and all of a sudden the phone rings. And I always say, okay, so who sent who the message? Because you're doing messages. Who sent who the message? You got to figure that out.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit, the audience, I know you work with animals and babies and nonverbal people as well, but our audience that's listening to the show is mostly people who have pain and inflammation. And I love to teach that we are energy and vibration and light. And when we know that, we can use our own energies to help us heal. And that, in fact, it has to come from us, right?
Oh yeah. So, yeah, I've really been kind of crabbing about this, because to me, we've made ourselves sick, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't want to take responsibility for it. They want to maintain that victimship. And if you realize you got disempowered at some place in your life, and that is what's causing your dis-ease, then if you go to someone who is an energy healer, not an energy healing coach, and they say, lie on the massage table, I will heal you, then guess what? You still don't have your power back. And so I think it's so critical for people to learn to do this. And it's so simple. I only use 2 modalities, and I'm happy to give them to anybody who wants them. Just email me for them. And that way you get your power back. And that way you can heal yourself. And people just don't realize we're 99% energy. We're only 1% physical, yet all of allopathic medicine is focused on the 1%. That makes no sense.
Doesn't.
It makes no sense. I mean, so the first thing to me is, if somebody has an illness or disease, is, so let's talk about your stuck negative emotions. And I mean, that's just so off the charts compared to allopathic medicine. Like, here's a drug, let's do surgery, we're going to do chemotherapy. It just makes no sense at all. So, so if you heal the energy of the disease, then the person can heal themselves. As long as they don't wait too long.
Right. Okay. So how do you go about helping people teach? Because you teach people, right? This is what you do. So how do you go about teaching people? You said there's 2 modalities. Can we kind of go into it a little bit here, or is it too in depth?
No, it's really not. One of them is clearing out the chakras. There's too many healers that have been taught to go from the outside of the chakra in. And I think that's damaging to the chakra. To me, it's much better if you use the white light coming through the top of your head and then go out the chakra and blow it out. And that has been very, very effective for a lot of people, where they'll see things and feel things, and they don't consider themselves intuitive at all. And so you clear out all the chakras front and back, and you feel different just from that. And then I coach them through that to do it for themselves. I won't, and most people do fine with just the instructions. And the other modality, excuse me, is where you expand your energy field away from your body so you can see it. And I liken it to blowing yourself up like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade balloon, where you push all your energy away from your body so you can see it. And even with your eyes closed, you will find one place on that energy field where it's not smooth. It'll be wrinkled or bunched up, distorted. And you just focus on that one place with the intention of release, release, release. Only you do it really slowly. And you wait till it just sort of smooths out, and then you allow your energy field back to your body. And you breathe and ground and do it again. And the results from that are so dramatic. I mean, I have clients that have cured their own cancer. cured autoimmune diseases, the whole 9 yards. And the hardest part is that so many people get stuck in victim mode.
Yeah.
And they have to become empowered. And I joke and say, well, if you don't want to heal, you're in negative pleasure. That means you're enjoying being miserable. That's pretty yucky, really.
I know people would think, well, no, I'm not enjoying this, but there's something about it that there's some kind of reward in there for them. And maybe the reward is just, it's not my fault. Right.
Well, the other thing is there's secondary gains for a lot of people where,
Yeah.
you know, hey, I get that disability check. And if I cure my disease, then I won't get that disability check, or my husband won't take care of me, or, you know, I might have to get a job, you know, so they've got all these reasons why they think it's not in their best interest to heal. So that's just not good. They have to become aware of that.
And that may not even be in their conscious awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It may not be in their awareness. So it's developing that awareness.
So you and I were talking just before we went live about autoimmune conditions. Now there's so many people with autoimmune conditions. So let's just dive into that for a minute. You said the root cause of all autoimmune conditions is one thing.
It's self-loathing, self-hatred. And often it starts in childhood, early childhood, where, you know, we feel like we're not good enough. And we're taught that we don't matter, or you know, people pick on us or abuse us. A lot of molestation, a lot of sexual abuse happens. You know, if you guessed, 70% of all women are molested or assaulted sexually at some point in their life. 70%. You could guess and be right most of the time.
Wow.
So it's a matter, you don't even have to go back to the scene of the crime though, but you have to take your power back and tell off those who harmed you. You know, write them a letter, tell them off, burn it, say out loud, nobody's ever going to treat me like that again. It is like the absolute best way to take your power back. And I tell people you can work forward and go backward, or you can start at your childhood and come forward. Because the stupid thing is, I hate this, we will repeat those negative patterns until we smack our forehead as an adult and go, wait a minute, this feels way too familiar. You know, I married somebody who's like my father, or I married somebody who's like my mother. And so you repeat those negative patterns until you become aware that you're doing it.
And I mean, it may not even be something that we remember, right? Could we just sort of make a blank statement like, whatever it is, I am done with that now.
Yeah. And I even tell people, if you don't remember who hurt you, just do it to whom it may concern. Or dear you effing a-hole, you know, if we don't remember who it is. And I say, this is the one time it's okay to use all those potty words, you know, to use all those bad words. Get it out. And if you feel that anger and rage within you, go to the gym, put the gloves on, work out on the heavy bag. You know, if you remember who did it, put their picture on the heavy bag, wail the tar out of it, but get it out of you so that you're not carrying it anymore. This is one reason why I don't like journaling, because people will journal and they'll journal all this garbage out of them. And so they've de-slimed themselves, and then they go back and read it and re-slime themselves.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
That's not a good idea, going back and reading. Or even sometimes I like journaling in some forms, but not to ruminate over things, right? You don't journal to ruminate.
No, if you purge, burn it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
And really, you know, Jane, a lot of people don't realize that you change the energy of the paper when you do this. If I said, here's a blank piece of paper, go burn it, you wouldn't have any problem. But if I handed you 5 $100 bills and said, go burn it, I would hope you'd have a problem with that.
Never thought about the energy of paper.
Right. When you take the garbage out of you and put it on paper, you actually change the energy of the paper. And that's why you need to send it to the ethers and get it out of this universe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about once someone has they felt like they've released it. Do they need to keep going? Like, is it one and done, or may they still have to keep going back to it?
That's a really good question. I liken it to peeling an onion. You know, you get some of it off, you feel so good for a while, and then you start feeling funky again. And when you start feeling funky, go purge again. Start writing again. See if something comes up or comes out, and then get rid of it. But I think it's a process that we're going to go through our whole lives. And I think it just gets easier and easier, though.
And what about the sense of how does forgiveness play into this? Like, I know, like, you're writing, getting all. Is there a time for forgiveness? Not to let the person off the hook, but for yourself, right? For yourself, or is that process a way of forgiving?
The biggest problem that I see with people that want to do what I would call a blanket forgiveness is you cannot go to forgiveness until and unless you've processed out the anger. Otherwise, it just festers. I think of it as, we're on Dr. Pimple Popper and watching something explode out of somebody's skin. To me, it's the same thing, only it's energetic. So you have to process out the anger before you can go to forgiveness. And lack of forgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It's never going to be in your best interest to hang on to lack of forgiveness. It just doesn't make any sense. All it does is poison you. But you can't do it until you've processed out the anger. And I've worked with a lot of clients that did exactly that. They just did a blanket for, forgiveness, and they're suffering with cancer. You want to go, you can't do that.
Right. No? So they have to do that getting it out of them first, the anger, resentment, hurt, whatever it is, get that out first, and then do the forgiveness.
Yes, absolutely. And then it'll work. It won't work until it won't be permanent. That's a better way of saying it.
Okay.
And it won't be healing. Oh my goodness. It will not be healing until you've processed out all of the anger and rage.
So when you see the people do this, when they go through this process and they do the energy work that you're talking about, do people have like immediate results? Like, how quickly do they see results, or can it take a while? Just depends on their energy and whether they're really getting at it all.
I think it really depends on the individual and how much they're willing to process. This is pretty painful stuff, to go through. So it really depends on the individual and how determined they are. I had a dear friend, and she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I thought, well, she's going to beat this. She'll be the one in a million that beats this, because she's surrounded by energy healers and she's got all the tools and, piece of cake. And I just happened to stop by her house to drop something off, and she was cleaning out a shed. And I said, what you doing? And she says, this is my late husband's stuff. So I wanted to go through it. And she erupted like a volcano with the anger and rage at him. He killed himself. So she took that as she wasn't enough.
Right.
And I looked at her and I said, that's why you have pancreatic cancer. I said, that's third chakra, power, ego, and control. And you took it personally that he took his life. And I said, that's what you've got to get rid of. I could never forgive him. And I said, well, you've just chosen to die then. Really? I mean, I'm kind of plain spoken when it comes down to it. And she died. She could not let go of that anger and rage at her husband for killing himself. And she'd gone on to a beautiful life. Nice guy, great life. And but that old relationship basically was her undoing.
Yeah, I can see that if she wasn't willing to let it go.
Yeah.
So are you able to kind of guide us through that breath that you were, well, I'm assuming it's a breath. Maybe it's not a breath. This imagining the white light coming down and going through and poofing out the chakras. Is there?
It's really taking grounding to the nth degree.
Okay.
And so what you do is you want to ground yourself first, which is growing roots out your feet and your tailbone, sending it to the center of the earth, wrapping it around the core, bringing it back up. And then when it hits your feet, you want to spread it out so you're like sitting or standing in what I call a tulip blossom of earth fire energy, because that shape is just perfect. And you just leave it simmering there. And then you open your crown chakra on the top of your head, and you're bringing that beautiful white light. It's always there, but this sort of gets it all going stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring that white light down, and then you put it out 3 fingers below your belly button. That's where second chakra is, and you connect it to the earth fire energy you've brought up, and then you can bring that earth fire energy back in your belly button. Then you bring that, so that's grounding. Then you bring the white light down, and instead of having it keep going down, you take some of it and send it out your third eye. And you just let it blow until it goes soft. It'll just get this soft glow, and you know you're done. And then you bring it down and go out your throat chakra. Oh my God, people will cough and choke and even vomit when they're clearing out their throat chakra. This is all the stuff you've never said that you needed to. It's pretty yucky. And when you do your third eye, you'll get all kinds of visuals, all kinds of visual images, stuff you didn't want to see. And so when you clear out your throat chakra, I mean, there's a lot of people going and coughing and everything while they're doing it. And then when you feel that go soft, then you go back up to the crown, bring that light down, and then you go out to your heart chakra. And this one can be so emotional.
I bet.
Because it's all that garbage and pain and anger and stuff that you've held in your heart, and the grief. Oh my goodness, the grief. And you blow that out, and you wait until it just gets soft, and then you go back up to your crown. Then you're going to go to third chakra, which is solar plexus, and blow that out. And you wait until that goes soft. And that's power, ego, and control, which is third chakra. Mm-hmm. And then you go all the way up again, go back down, go to the second chakra, and that's all your childhood stuff. So that one is really challenging for a lot of people, because a lot of people go through stuff that, you know, they just sort of move on, become an adult, and they don't think this stuff is impacting them. Mm-hmm. And then the real fun one to me is where you just go crown chakra, out root chakra. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like you're lit up like a Christmas tree. And then you just go down the back and do the same thing, you know, the back chakras.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's really that simple. I mean, it takes a while. You don't want to get in a hurry. And it really can make a difference in how people feel.
When you say do this, I mean, people generally have their eyes closed and they're imagining this, right?
Sure.
They're imagining it.
Right.
Yeah. And some people have trouble like imagining. So
right.
Like, what would you say if people have trouble imagining, or like, I don't know, like what would
I would say get coloring books. I really did. I would say get coloring books, and they have adult coloring books now. And it just sort of triggers that part of your imagination that allows you to do this. Mm-hmm. Color is incredible for stimulation. It's incredible.
Right. That's a great idea.
Say, I don't see it. I don't feel it. And then I'll do really simple things with them. Like I say, close your eyes. Okay, now I'm handing you a lemon. And we've all had experiences with lemons. It's very strong. And I go, okay, hold that lemon up to your nose. What does it smell like? Okay, now I want you to take your teeth and bite into that lemon. And they're doing this all without really having a lemon.
Right.
And they'll start salivating.
I'm doing it now.
I know. And then I'll go, you know, oh, peel it. How does that feel? And just really get to be intimate with the lemon. Because that just starts triggering that part of your imagination. It's a real simple one. Oh my goodness, that's so simple. Because it really will. And I'll go, well, you're salivating now, but you're not eating a lemon and you're not smelling a lemon. How are you doing that? And it just sort of really helps them to bridge that.
Yeah. Our mind thinks in pictures, and and I mean, everyone's had a physical response to a thought.
Sure.
You know, we've all had it, right? I remember my high school biology teacher used to love. There was a girl in the class that would blush really easily, and so when he wanted to talk about an autonomic nervous system and that immediate response, he'd go, whatever her name was, Katie, blush, and she just go. Whoop.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
really
but
amazing.
it kind of demonstrated as like, oh, thought, physical reaction. Right?
Exactly. And the other thing too that I really want to encourage people is that I got into a big argument. This was years and years ago, but somebody said, well, we do have absolute control over our thoughts and feelings. And I went, no, we don't. Your thoughts and feelings just fly into your head. You have no control over them. So how can you stop yourself from being depressed? And it's like, wait a minute, you do have control. And somebody said, Terry, hey, I got to make cupcakes for my kids' class. How do you make a box mix cupcakes? And I went, really? You don't know? No, I've never done it before, she said, which was a lie. And so I'm teaching her how to, use a box mix and make cupcakes. And she goes, and we're done. And she goes, where'd you get those thoughts? And I'm, oh, because I just changed my thoughts and went from what we were talking about to making cupcakes.
Yeah.
So there's a really good video on YouTube that really saved my life. And it's Joe Dispenza. He's got lots of good stuff, but this one's called Evolve Your Brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it really teaches you how thoughts work, how feelings work, and how to really change. And so you have control over your thoughts instead of the tail wagging the dog.
I love the work of Joe Dispenza.
Oh.
I have several of his books.
Yeah.
And he takes, he says he demystifies the mystical.
Yes.
Right. And that's so true, because he's bringing all the science into it. And he does these retreats because he's got people all hooked up to science, to getting all their brain waves measured and their blood is taken and all kinds of stuff. So he's really bringing the science into these things that we thought were woo woo.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So we've got what was the second? The first one was like doing the clean, blowing out the chakras. What was the second one again?
The second one is you ground yourself just using that same technique.
Grounding. Okay. Yeah.
And then you just picture your energy field, which is basically attached to the outside of your body, and you just blow it up away from your body. Mm-hmm. so that you can see it. And you still are going to do this with your eyes all closed.
Yeah.
And someplace on that energy field will be wrinkled or bunched up, and you focus on that with release, release, release. But you do it really slowly. I mean, saying release to yourself maybe twice a minute, really slow. And you just sort of watch it melt, where it just smooths out. Mm-hmm. Because disease starts in the energy field before it comes into the body.
I was just going to ask you about that, because I had Bobby Vogel on a couple of weeks ago. And she said the same thing. Everything happens in the etheric field first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, and so you said people can go to energy healers, say, who can maybe take care of that, but you're saying it probably is not going to be permanent because that underlying anger or the underlying emotions are still there. Is that, am I interpreting that correctly?
I think energy healing has to change as a modality. I think energy healers have to become coaches. Mm-hmm. Coach the people to heal themselves.
Yeah, love
because
that.
Because otherwise it doesn't last.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah. And you can even coach somebody who's unconscious.
Let's hear a little bit about that. We're almost out of time, but I'd love to hear how that works for you, because you can communicate with people that are non-communicative.
Yes, that's my book. It's called Intuitive Communication, Communicating with Those Who Cannot. And those are some of the disabilities that prevent communication.
Right.
And I do it all the time. I don't know what you're getting, the subconscious, the higher self. It doesn't matter as long as you're connected. And you can actually coach someone who is unconscious through these two healing modalities.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, because there's no limit to it. You're always going to be able to get them. I mean, do you think there's 7 to 9 million people in the United States that cannot communicate? 7 to 9 million. So that book is directed at caregivers and medical personnel and first responders. That's who it's for. So they can learn to communicate with their patients and loved ones who can't communicate.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So you can coach them.
Uh-huh. Okay, so people, if someone's got someone in their life who's non-communicative or not or can't communicate clearly, then they could learn how to do that from your book.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
My greatest joy is when my clients call me up and say, Terri, I don't need you anymore. Yay! Fabulous. Good job. Really, because these aren't gifts. Nobody's special. Maybe short bus special, but they're not special. And these are techniques and skills that we all have and we can all learn and have a better life.
Mm. So good. I've got one last question that I always ask my guests, and that is, what's one action someone could take today to improve their health? What would you say, Terri?
Choose to love yourself
Ah,
because it's going to raise your vibration. And disease can only exist in a low vibration.
you're right. Actually, I think disease, lack of anything can only exist in a low vibration.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So good. Where can people find out more about you? What's your website?
It's just my name, TerriJay.com. That's my website.
TerriJ.com. Okay. Yeah. And you said you're active on Facebook.
Yes.
How would they find you on Facebook?
Just look for me.
Okay. We have the links there anyway. So check out the links, and you'll find Terri there. And oh my goodness, this has been, I love all this energy work. And I think I really want to kind of bring it to a conversation where people are talking about it more like it's normal, right? It's not paranormal, it's normal. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And I appreciate you being a guest today, Terri. Thank you so much.
Well, it was really an honor to be here, and thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been wonderful. And thanks to all the people that are watching, listening. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. And if you have any experiences you want to share, I'd love to hear those too. We have one comment here. Bernice, let me put that up there. She says, this was so mind-blowing. Love it.
Well, email me for the energy healing instructions, and I'm happy to send them to you.
Right. Oh, what's your email address?
It's Terri@TerriJ.com.
TerriJ.com.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that comment, Bernice. And thank you so much to everyone who's joined in. And thanks to Terri for being here. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.